Thank you all for taking the time to watch this introduction. The film we would have watched together tonight is very important to me, and it means a lot that you would have joined us in person, if not for the winter storm and subsequent cancellation of the screening. The film is available on Canopy, which you can access by logging in with your Hobart and William Smith credentials. I want to begin by acknowledging Hobart and William Smith colleges are located on the traditional homelands of the Onondaga, the Seneca Nation. The Onondaga, past and present, are members of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, an alliance of 6 sovereign nations with a historic presence on this land where I am right now and where we would have been in the Albright Auditorium, preceding the establishment of HWS, New York State, and the United States of America. I also want to give a special thanks to the Department of Media and Society, particularly Professor Becky Burdett and Professor Harry Gu, for their assistance in making this screening possible, even remotely. If you don't know who I am Professor Joshua Bastian Cole. I teach in the Department of Critical Sexuality and Queer Studies, and I'm the coordinator for the LGBTQ+ Resource Center. My main area of research is trans cinema, and I am honored to introduce this film to you tonight. No Ordinary Man is a documentary, but it is no ordinary one. It is not simply a biopic about a renowned American jazz musician, although it is also that. Rather, this film asks a question. What happens when you die and lose control of your story? Billy Tipton had a successful career in music and gained fame throughout the United States in the 1940s and 50s, but he earned his place in history posthumously, as so many trans people do. You see, Tipton wasn't out during his lifetime. He was outed after his death in 1989. Upon Tipton's death, the media made a spectacle of him, and his entire life was painted as one of deceit. The surviving Tipton family quickly became the target of prying, opportunistic journalists. Much of the reporting about Tipton was salacious and derisive, and his family endured scrutiny and skepticism. For the decades after his death, the life of Billy Tipton was framed as the story of an ambitious woman passing as a man in pursuit of a music career. In No Ordinary Man, Tipton's story is reimagined and performed by trans artists as they collectively paint a portrait of an unlikely hero. Together, the filmmakers, Aisling Chin-Yee and Chase Joynt, joined Tipton's son, Billy Jr., to reckon with a complicated and contested legacy. Throughout No Ordinary Man, audiences will see archival footage of people and media outlets misgendering Billy Tipton, disrespecting him, and refusing to acknowledge the simple fact that he was the man he said he was. Many of you watching tonight will be writing about this film, and for any of the rest of you who are here out of interest, there is no need to use any other names or pronouns that Billy didn't use to describe himself. One of the film's themes is restoring Billy Tipton's story to him, placing him within the context of trans men of his era, and exploring his legacy for trans men like myself today. On a formal level, this film connects Tipton's identity to modern trans masculine representation, and depictions of trans men in media remain scarce. This film avoids simplification. It intertwines past and present and combines the interview subjects' experiences with their understanding of Tipton's life. The film weaves together recordings, archival, and present-day interviews with scholars, historians, and performers' interpretations. While there are components of traditional documentary, there are also avant-garde elements of experimentalism. The film features the text of a drama about Tipton, written by co-director Chin-Yee with Amos, and that recreates key moments from Tipton's musical career. The filmmakers and writers gather in a rehearsal studio and audition trans men actors in scenes from the screenplay, the would-be biopic that No Ordinary Man both is and is not. We then get unusual behind-the-scenes access to interviews with the actors about the depiction of Tipton as written and about playing him in relation to their own observations and experiences. The film also includes interviews with trans scholars at the top of the field of trans studies, some of them the founders of the field itself, who discuss Tipton's legacy and consider earlier media representations and misrepresentations of him in the light of the current politics of trans identity. Again, this is a meta-biography. As critic for The New Yorker, Richard Brody states, no ordinary man challenges the very basis of cultural production, eschewing the familiar accumulation of biographical and historical information, and instead questioning the process by which such information is gathered. As the writer Amos relates in the film, after Tipton's death, his bindings were never found at his home, his binder. For Mack, that says that Tipton was fully aware that he was dying and that he was doing whatever he had to do to get rid of things that would make people question or wonder. The actor Scott Turner Schofield imagines the terror of Tipton's last days, describing it as unbearable, saying, in your last moments, to know that your life is out of your own control. What happens when you die and lose control of your story? That's the question I've tasked my students with in our class. In the film, trans historian Stefan Pennington explains our absence in both time and space. You don't exist in the past, so you only get to be in the present. You get no tradition, you get no roots, which means this place doesn't belong to you. A critic for Roger Ebert states that what becomes the film's most potent argument is learning that there were pioneers like Tipton living their true selves when their truth was not validated at all, which forges a sort of lineage, reminding trans folks that their contributions are long-standing. It took a while to be recovered, but that is the purpose of the film, to give Tipton his life back and a proper death, to reveal the unknown fact that Tipton became an underground hero to trans men, that he is indeed remembered for the man he was, and his legacy continues. We are Billy's legacy, the men who, unbeknownst to him, and sometimes unbeknownst even to ourselves, followed in his footsteps. As the film highlights the casting process, I'm personally reminded of something that might seem a little far afield from the material at hand. The Broadway Billy Elliot audition, casting, rehearsal pipeline, in which the many stars simultaneously cast in the lead role were known to wear t-shirts during rehearsals that had Billy emblazoned on them. All of them were Billy. It seems a strange connection, but like Billy Elliot, No Ordinary Man also, unexpectedly, centers a father-son relationship. And we are thus both Billy and his heritage. As Lou Sullivan wrote in the FTM newsletter, following Tipton's passing, that Jameson Green reads in the film, at age 74, Tipton died as one of our grandfathers. Or in other words, it turns out there are so many Billy Juniors, and there will be many, many more. What is so fascinating about this film is that it is a memento mori for Tipton, and also its own important addition to transmedia. No Ordinary Man has a collection of accolades from international film festivals, including several Best Documentary awards. But as IndieWire referred to it, No Ordinary Man is the future of trans cinema. And I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for listening. Good night.